especially more than people like Yoke Up and Gear Up. But, you know, I was a sort of like a Veritas sort of Christian. And so that period with Ray Comfort, it sort of made me more open-minded, sort of say. It sort of opened me up just a little bit. And then the evidence for evolution hit me. I got blindsided by it. And somebody showed me a picture to which one single mutation actually causes someone to have like a monkey's ass and have the monkey feet with the thumbs. And I was thinking, if one mutation could easily cause something like that, then evolution could be true. And then at that moment it was no longer unreasonable for me. And so I began to investigate it. I began to investigate it very open-mindedly, like I did before. It's not like I ever wanted to find that information, but I was very resistant to it. And yet, the more I investigated it in order to defeat it, the more it defeated me. And eventually, within a 2-week period, I just couldn't deny the reality of evolution. I just couldn't. So, in a lot of ways, I could say that I'm sort of like the Richard Dawkins sort of atheist, where evolution can make you an atheist. But it wasn't that alone that caused me to fall away. And in my time, my mind was kicking and screaming. I didn't want to be an atheist. So I was looking at the Bible and its prophecies. I was looking at its historicity. And I was looking at everything I thought that validated my faith, that gave me a grounding in Christianity. And the more I found, and the more I didn't want to be an atheist. I just didn't want to be. And I was sort of torn away from that, you know. I was never a willing atheist when I deconverted. And after that, I just found things that, they were right about these contradictions, and they were right about these prophecies being false. And so at that point, I had any grounding whatsoever. Christianity at that point was completely possible to rise naturally, and then the natural explanations about the world and everything that I kind of ignored before about some of the bullshit of Christianity, and what things people do and lie about in order to promote Christianity. Suddenly, it all made sense. It began to crystallize, and so I sort of sank into my atheism. It was just at the point I just couldn't fight it anymore. And then at that time, I couldn't go to church anymore until I resolved this. And so, after a month or two, they were like, what happened, Ernest? You fall off the face of the earth. I mean, we're about to, get everything, right with, get everything right, and, to send you over to be, learn to be an evangelist and be a youth pastor. And it was like, and I told him all about this. And he was like, well, the devil's attacking you. And, I brought up all the things that made sense, and they just couldn't argue against it. And it boiled nothing down more than, the devil. The devil's tricking you, the devil's tricking you, the devil's tricking you. And that's all it was. And at that moment, I was certain, I was absolutely certain that, my faith was bullshit, that, Christianity, it was all bullshit. Because all my reasonable objections could not be answered, except the devil's tricking you, that there's a worldwide conspiracy. And, at that moment on, I kind of resigned to be an atheist. It was, I couldn't, just nothing, and nothing since has ever trumped those objections that I ever had, and, made those prophecies true, or creationism real, or, so, I became an atheist, not because God failed me, or, I thought God failed me. And, during that time, I was praying real hard. Them was the most honest and sincere prayers that I ever had. Asking for God, and begging, pleading God for the proof, to get on my faith no matter what, and it just couldn't survive. So, it wasn't because I was mad at God, and, that's why I laugh at, Christians and Muslims that say that you're just mad at God. You prayed for something and He didn't give it to you, and you're just upset. And I just laugh at them because they just don't know how hard I fought to keep my faith. And I didn't want to lose it. I didn't want to lose it all. So a year after that, of course, I came here to YouTube. And now you know what brought the Atheist Paladin to you. So that's my story. I hope you found it interesting and entertaining. So peace and rationality is the path to righteousness.